A monstrous earthquake has just struck Kobe, Japan this morning. Major roadways and thousands of buildings in the heart of the city took the majority of the damage. It is estimated that 4,000 people have perished, and the number of injuries is growing rapidly.
Early in the morning, a massive earthquake struck Kobe, Japan, measuring a 7.3 on the Richter scale. It was the most devastating earthquake to hit the island nation in the 20th century. The destructive force was the equivalent of 240 kilotons of TNT, 16 times the force of an atom bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945, and 12 times the force of the bomb that destroyed Nagasaki. Kobe, being Japan's sixth largest city with 1.5 million people, was the nation's busiest port city at the time and one of Asia's leading ports until destruction struck. Today, it is Japan's fourth busiest port and Asia's 49th busiest port. Kobe is located in the southeast of Japan, on the southern side of the main island Honshu. The earthquake struck at 5:46 a.m. Following four foreshocks, the quaking lasted for around 20 seconds, but caused immense structural damage. Buildings crumbled and major roadways collapsed. The damage totaled more than 10 trillion yen, or about $200 billion. But the damage went well beyond money. Nearly 6,500 people died, and an estimated 44,000 people were injured. In just 10 days, more than 5,000 bodies were identified by authorities, family members, and friends. The majority of the victims lived in Kobe and died due to collapsing buildings. At the time, weak wood frame buildings were common construction designs throughout Japan. Many buildings were constructed before building codes were updated in the 70s and 80s to address seismic concerns. When the earthquake struck, the wooden supports failed and the roofs collapsed. The rigid tile roofs were extremely heavy, as they were designed to withstand typhoons, not earthquakes. In the hardest hit areas, 1 in 5 buildings were completely destroyed. Overall, an estimated 180,000 buildings were demolished. Of those, 7,000 buildings were destroyed by the fires that resulted from the quake. Gas leaks fed the flames, and firefighters were unable to extinguish the flames due to the loss of water pressure from broken water mains. Following the quake, no one was able to enter or exit the city for 3 days. The roadways and subways were annihilated. A major city highway, the Hanshin Expressway Route 43, was not reopened until the following year, on September 30th. Many people were displaced. Nearly 300,000 people moved into shelters after their homes were destroyed. In addition, 55,000 people migrated out of the city to find new lodging. Japan is historically vulnerable to earthquakes. About 75 earthquakes with a magnitude equal to or greater than 7.0 have been recorded. As a result, the nation has made it a priority to study earthquakes and their causes. After much research, the world's leading geological scientists determined the origin of the Kobe disaster. They discovered that the quake originated at the tectonic plate boundary between the Eurasian plate and the Philippine plate. At this plate margin, the Philippine plate was pushed under the Eurasian plate. The Philippine plate is a subducting tectonic plate which is moving under the Eurasian plate. The focus of the earthquake was located 16 kilometers, nearly 10 miles below the epicenter on Awaji Island, 20 kilometers from Kobe. The plates in that area shifted between 6 and 10 feet in the opposing directions. Kobe and neighboring communities were slow to recover from the disaster, both physically and emotionally. It took 10 years to rebuild the city. At the time of the quake, Kobe was renowned as one of the most desirable cities in Japan, with a large quantity of new infrastructure that many believed made it resistant to the earthquakes. For many residents who had survived the World War II bombings of Kobe, the destruction brought back unpleasant memories. Many compared the city to a war zone.
Around 15 square kilometers of Kobe was reclaimed land. Reclaimed land is highly susceptible to liquefaction. Liquefaction is a process that causes water-saturated sediment to lose its stability and eventually turn into a liquid-like substance. Liquefaction occurs when an intense earthquake strikes. Liquefaction caused the port in Kobe to sink almost a dozen feet. One woman who was sleeping with her daughter told the Washington Post.
The second floor and a neighbor's house all crashed on us. My daughter was so unfortunate to be sleeping beside me. Debris fell on her and it was impossible to get her out. Her hand was warm, but she couldn't speak. I was trying to keep up her strength, but I could feel her getting weaker. I kept holding her hand, and gradually it turned cold.
One man recalled his experience on the day of the quake.
I was very, very sure that the ceiling will come down and it will just press us.
Uji Takatoshi, another earthquake survivor, explains his experiences.
When the second floor collapsed onto me, the table kind of protected me. I was stuck in that position. My legs felt numb, and they turned all white.
In order to commemorate this dreadful event, city officials hold a memorable event every December called the Luminaire. They decorate the city with illuminated lights in the shape of the Akashi Kaheyo Bridge.